President Vladimir Putin instructed the Ministry of Defense to register Russians for military service without personally appearing at the military registration and enlistment office and to begin sending out electronic summonses from the autumn 2024 conscription. On April the 14th, Putin signed the law on electronic subpoenas. Citizens who receive them will not be able to travel outside the country.
This unified register for those liable for military service will actually make it impossible to evade conscription and evade a visit to the military registration and enlistment office, because this will now be subject to a bunch of different sanctions. And it will also be considered now that if the person has not even received a summons, this summons will be considered sent, because at the military registration and enlistment office, in the unified register of persons liable for military service, there will be a check mark next to one's name indicating that a summons has been sent to them.
Deputy of the Legislative Assembly of St. Petersburg, Boris Vishnevsky, proposed limiting the service life of the mobilized to 1 year, since he received an appeal from the wives of the conscripts. They asked to amend the legislation and limit the length of service, but the Russian Ministry of Defense says that for this, Putin must sign a decree on the completion of partial mobilization.
The response from the Ministry of Defense states that they consider it inappropriate to limit the duration of conscription service and that the partially mobilized will serve until the mobilization is completed. Boris Vishnevsky, head of the Yabloko party in the Legislative Assembly of St. Petersburg, on Telegram.
Instead of announcing a new wave of mobilization, the Russian authorities are going to replenish the ranks of the military with contract soldiers, of whom they plan to recruit 400,000 people in 2024. The Ministry of Defense will also conduct recruiting among alimony debtors. Journalist Farida Rustamova reports this with a reference to her own sources.
This is exactly how the Russian army is replenished at the expense of debtors, prisoners, students, factory employees, whom they were promising reservations, and then took them away, of reserve soldiers, of people who have problems with money. Just problems with money, they want to earn money. Then, when these tools stop working, when there are no more debtors, people who have money problems, and students, then they will all get killed in the fields of Ukraine, and then the next wave of mobilization will start.
In St. Petersburg, at the citizenship ceremony, 11 men, immigrants from neighboring countries, received summonses to register for military service. In mid-October, the head of the investigative committee, Alexander Bastrykin, proposed depriving those who received a Russian passport of citizenship if they do not want to fight against Ukraine.
If you are not ready as a citizen of Russia to fulfill your military duty, we must make a decision to deprive such a person of citizenship. Alexander Bastrykin, chairman of the investigative committee of the Russian Federation, Current Time reports.
At the end of October, Ukrainian intelligence reported that the aggressor country was mobilizing more than 20,000 people monthly. Most experts are confident that total mobilization may begin in Russia after the presidential elections. Now, Putin is not ready to do this because of the risks of serious discontent in society. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Yulia Biel, UATV News.